Okay, everybody, welcome to the Cross Lake regular city council meeting of April 11th. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, everybody, welcome. We got some additions to the agenda. I'm going to run through them quick. Application for group transient merchant permit from the Cross Lake Ideal Alliance, and then we've got some additional bills for payment. We've got a discussion extending the application deadline for the Public Works Director. Recommendation to hire seasonal park worker and a full-time park maintenance worker. And an update on the moving building from Public Works for the Park and Rec Department. So do we have a motion to approve those?
I move to approve the additions.
I'll second that. I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and we can make a vote here, huh? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Joe, this is your moment. Come on up.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Tonight, we'd like to recognize one of our firefighters that retired as of January 31st, 2022, Joe St. Pierre. Now you can come on up, Joe. Joe is turning in his firefighter gear after 22 years of service to the city of Cross Lake and our community. Joe's held many positions on the fire department. He's been a firefighter and a fire apparatus operator during his 22 years of service. It was very nice to have him working down the street at Simonson and them letting him go to calls because we knew we could rely on him, that he was going to be there, and he's a great pump operator and a great engineer. So we appreciated that. Joe was also very active with the Cross Lake Firefighter Relief Association. So we'd like to thank Joe, you, for all of your 22 years of service and the commitment to the fire department. And we'd also like to thank Joe's family for all the time that he spent with us on Wednesday nights and the hundreds of calls that he attended. So I appreciate it.
Come on, pretend like you like each other, you guys. Come on, Joe, let's. Joe, the city thanks you deeply.
Thank you.
For your service. Thank you. We greatly appreciate it. All right, next we're going to move into the first public forum. Action may or may not be taken on any issue raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issue will be placed on the agenda of the next regular council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address. Anybody have anything? Not seeing anybody come up, we'll close the public forum. Next is consent calendar. All items here are listed to be considered routine by the City Council and will be acted on by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a citizen or a council person so requests. Is everybody good with that? Yep. Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent calendar, items 1 through 20.
I second that.
Motion and a second. Any other Thoughts? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the mayor and council members' report. I've got a couple things I want to throw out here in addition to what it is. First of all, the Cross Lake Ideals is putting on an extravaganza at the community center this Saturday. Brenda, what time does it start? 10 to noon. So bring your kids and come Easter egg hunt and games and whatever, but it's a good thing for the. Next thing is recognition for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. I think everybody did an awesome job on it. Cindy, you want to back me up on that? How did it go?
It went good.
Yeah, come on up.
Yes, Cindy Mugato with the Cross Lake Chamber, and I echo your sentiment, Dave. The community that came together to pull off that event was really fantastic. So in the eyes of the chamber, it was a very successful parade. If you remember, we were blessed with the one day of spring that we've had in the whole year, so I don't know how we get so lucky to make that happen, but we had more than 100 businesses in the parade. That was the most participation ever. Traditionally, the folks that are in the parade year after year have suggested that they've never seen the crowd so wide and so deep and so long on the parade route. The number one question I get is how many people were at the parade, and I don't have the answer.
27,356. I did
I
a
like the
tally on
number.
it.
Officially, you can do crowd counting. It's done by, doing an aerial photo of a sampling of the size of an inch of land, and you count the people and you multiply that by the route. I personally don't have the wherewithal to do that, but if anybody is into crowd counting, I would love to speak with you, and we can supply you with some drone photos to do that. A shout out to your police department, Eric. You guys did a fantastic job recruiting not only your guys, but additional help from the surrounding communities. I appreciate that. Chip and his team were ready to assist with the EMTs on the trail or on the route. I know a lot of hours go into that emergency management plan, and I'm very thankful that we didn't have to, whip that out and use it. Public Works, again, just went above and beyond and prepared the streets and provided us with cones and barricades and all of those things. To my knowledge, there were no problematic issues. So if I didn't hear about it, that's a good thing. We had doubled down on the trash cans along the route. If you remember, it was Pequot Lakes was at the state basketball tournaments, the hockey tournaments were taking place, spring break was taking place, so we were short on help. But I want to commend the Cross Lake Lutheran Church and the Cross Lake Log Church, pulled it together with families and youth groups and adults that picked up the trash immediately following the parade along the whole parade route.
Boy, they did an awesome job. Yeah.
Honestly, we just couldn't do it without them. My committee went out there Sunday morning and we, tidied up the trash cans a little bit so that they would be ready to go for a Monday morning pickup. We had 60 portable restrooms on the parade route. That's, average. If it's colder weather, we probably wouldn't have needed them all. If it would have been 10 or 20 degrees warmer, we couldn't have had enough biffies on the route. So Joe and Michelle Osborne with File Satellites are really terrific to work with. Because of the generous donations and sponsorships by businesses, we were able to pay $7,000 to bring the Shriner organizations here to Cross Lake to be featured in the parade. And then we were able to make some contributions to the youth groups for picking up the trash and some to the mounted patrol for having extra boots on the street. 41 businesses donated more than $3,000 worth of prizes to that pot of gold, which brings people in to Cross Lake early. There were families here Wednesday night, so when that first clue hit Thursday morning, they were here. So economically, that's a really good value. The Karma Race Management does the 5K race and a kids race. She had 500 participants this year, or just about 500, which is more than ever before. Another shout out to Log Church for shuttling parade participants from the Log Church to the starting line. Then those people go through the parade and they end their parade at the Log Church, which eliminates a lot of congestion of going back around to the town square area. Shout out to CNC Boatworks for literally letting the Clover Dash and the parade run right through their property. And then to Town Square businesses, we took over the whole Town Square. There was no public parking for their customers. Frankly, there was no public parking for any customer anywhere because everybody parked in the business parking lots along the whole entire parade route.
How many floats were there in the parade, Cindy?
Well, there was 100 businesses represented, so, every boat dealer brings two, and, so there was a lot of more entries from each business, so I don't know, 120
Yeah,
or so.
120.
Food on the parade route, the Knights of Columbus, First National Bank was grilling brats, the Log Church was grilling, Masieres, the community school. Thank you to those folks who took the time to actually grill and sell food. We want food on the parade route. I don't want to bring in a bunch of food trucks. So if we can have enough local organizations that can provide that service, it's just really a win-win for our community. We had a lot of photographers on the route. One specifically, Doug Oster, is just a retired guy, and he loves photography. It's a hobby. He handed me over a flash drive with more than 2,000 pictures that I'm still trying to get through. And then I'm sure you know, but R&J Broadcasting actually live streamed the parade, so there were more than 200 people watching the parade live from somewhere else. And we're planning to do that in the future as well. You can watch the whole parade right now on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and Google Cross Lake St. Patrick's Day Parade, and you can find that. So, and one more shout out to Cross Lake Communications. We weren't able to do that YouTube live stream from Cross Lake until I called Cross Lake Communications and I said, how do we do this? And they said, well, we'll just hook up your gigabytes, will be better. So they flipped a switch and brought over a router, and boom, we were all hooked up and ready to go. And that only went down a couple weeks before the parade. So, I mean, a really heartfelt, sympathetic thank you to the business community in this town and you guys, for everybody, that all worked together to pull this together. It's a big event and nobody knows the details that go into it, but without, the business community and the city on board and police and fire and everybody, we just couldn't do it. So thank you very much.
Pretty awesome, yep.
Thank you.
Thanks to you, Cindy.
There is a letter here from There's a letter here from the Log Village thanking the Public Works guys for clearing their lot and doing everything they did, so. And there's one from Cindy, but she just got done with a 15-minute talk, so I don't need to do that, do I? I think he covered everything in that. So thank you all. Let's see. Another thing, the charter school, our little charter school in town here has got an archery club. Last weekend, I think it was last weekend, maybe 2 weeks ago, they went to Duluth on a competition. They won. Now they're going to Louisville, Kentucky for the national archery tournament. So I think that's pretty awesome. And obviously, like everything, they need some sponsors or they need some help to get down there and pay for the stuff they got to pay for. So everybody, let's kick it in, and that's just awesome to see that little school get down to Kentucky for a tournament. So that's it for that. I got one more thing before I get into my agenda here, and again, I think we talked about it a little bit, but it's the signs coming into town. Did we talk about that at a council meeting?
Long
Go up
time.
by Manhattan Beach and heading south, there's no sign. It's down, it's being repainted or something.
That would be the Lions. Are you not a Lion?
I am,
Okay.
yeah. But that's up to the Lions to do that?
They're
or-
their signs, and Donna has taken them. Donna
Oh.
Dorfler.
Did we not, at this meeting, at a council meeting, talk about the uniformity of the signs and what are we gonna do? Am I dreaming that, or did we talk about that? Anybody have any recall? Pat?
I took care of a few things.
Well, we got the dam, and we got the paddles, and we're kind of getting mixed up on our signs.
We did talk about that. After we put up the Welcome to Cross Lake signs out on County Road 16 and out on 3, and the welcome banners up here. We did talk about that, but the Lions put that sign up and the one south of town that had fallen down earlier that is put back up, down between Bildall and,
Roger John's kind of there,
yeah.
I mean, someplace there.
Yeah, so the Lions have 2 signs, and they have their name on the bottom of them. So I don't know what the plans are, if they're fixing them and putting them
They're
back
just
up.
cleaning them up and doing minor repairs.
And gonna put them back.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's been over a year ago. So, we have a meeting this week, don't we, Brenda? Maybe we can put a little burr in Donna, find out what's going on there.
Yeah, so that was the conversation that we had had before, because we were gonna initially try to put a sign there in the Manhattan Beach area by Moonlight Square, but the Lions had one there, and we didn't wanna mess with that,
Okay,
so.
so are the signs uniform? Do they all look the same?
The ones we put up do,
But they're
but
not.
no, they're not like the
different.
Lions sign at all.
But they're also different from this.
Right.
Right.
We're losing our identity here.
Well, Dave, if you wanna create a,
Well, that's what I'm just saying. I mean, what
Yeah.
should we do with it? It
Yeah.
seems like we should have some uniformity with them, however that comes about.
well, I'll bring this up later at the next public forum, because I think that I'm out of line if I continue with what I was gonna say.
Oh, I don't think you are. You're never out of line, Pat.
Well, what I'm gonna say is the benches, for Lids to Benches,
Yep.
we are finished with that project, and we're making the road trip, and we have enough for four-foot benches, and they're going to match the signs.
Which
The blue-
signs?
The blue and the gray. The school is getting two, and it's the same color, blue that's on the school with the gray, and then the welcome signs that say, "Welcome to Cross Lake," and the
With the
welcome
canoe
banners.
paddles, the cross paddles, that sign?
Yeah, so it's the same colors. So there's gonna be one in front of the chamber building, and we're getting a cement pad laid there and screw it in because somebody stole Cindy's bench out in front of her building this last summer. And so that will be replaced by Lids to Benches. And then there will be two at the school, and then there will be one more where we will have to determine where that's gonna go, whether it's by the Loon Center or in the town square or where.
So would you agree with me that we should maybe get a little uniformity going on here and put the north-south entrance signs similar to them?
We've tried that. Sure. It can be done,
Yeah. So what, do we have to agree on doing that?
but,
What do you guys
but
think
if the
about that?
the Lions are already gonna fix their signs and put them back up.
That sign up on Manhattan Beach has been gone for at least a year. I mean, I live right there. I know it has. So,
I don't know what the rules are for their sign at that spot. I don't
Well-
think we have any uniformity rules as far as that goes.
it just seems to me that we should, right? I mean, we should have a logo.
That's the goal that we tried to start doing with colors.
And you kind of went off on your own and did that.
Well,
it seems
there's
to
a
be
whole group of
catching.
people. There's a whole group of
Seems to be
people.
catching.
Through
yeah.
the Cross Lakers, there's a whole
So
group of
we don't need to spend
connectivity
a whole
people.
lot of time on this, but I just
I
think
didn't do that
they
on
should
myself,
be.
no.
No, but at the Cross, whoever,
Yeah.
the group did.
Right, you
Yeah.
approved the design, and we brought all that forward to the city council.
And I still do.
And it was approved.
But I'm just saying that maybe we should bring the other signs up to speed, get them all kind of the same.
Well, that would be a call to the Lions.
Okay,
Say, hey, can we do this?
we'll talk about it
Because we can hook them
Wednesday.
up with, so if you look at also the sign that's on the corner that goes to Town Square, that sign was repainted by the same guy that did our welcome banners and the signs that go out of town. So the Town Square sign is now matchy-matchy. And so this guy can repaint the
Yeah,
Lions
I
signs
mean,
and
we
make
just,
it,
seems
know.
like we should get them all together. That's my point. Okay,
so that would be.
we'll follow up with that.
Great, thanks.
So how about coming from the west and the east? Are there other signs that are different out there too? I can't recall. I think entering Cross Lake,
On 3 headed toward 50 Lakes.
N16.
And on 16 up on the hill there, that's the core property that we jumped through hoops to get it to go there. Remember the hoops we jumped through and had to get everything signed off on from the
Yeah.
core? Because in trying to find places for signs around here, I've done the research. And there's not very many places to put signs that are not owned by somebody else or that are owned by the state or the federal government.
So my
Along
question.
3 going south, all that property, little section here, little section here, little section here, is all owned, and you can't put signs there.
Privately.
No, federal government, state
Oh, okay.
property.
I'm not questioning the location as much as I am the uniformity of them again. So are they Lion signs east and west also, or just
No,
north and
there's
south?
north and south.
So
That's why we put them
you
there.
got them on the other ones. Okay, I got it. All right, we'll talk about that on Wednesday. Thank you, Pat. All right, we'll get back on track here. We got a resolution accepting donations. We have got an anonymous donation of $60 for the Park and Rec Department. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but somebody want to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to accept the $60 donation.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Discussion regarding ordinance chapter 2-25, salaries of mayor and council members. Funding of compensation. So why did this end up on the agenda? Is it just time of the year to do it?
Because you have to decide that before the next election. And I think we discussed it, 2 months
I mean,
ago
I'm
or
not
something?
opposed to it being on there,
Yeah.
but I just, again, this is,
The question came up about
Marcia
special,
asked that it be on
the question came up about special meetings, and then there was a big
time
to-do.
for us to give ourselves a raise? Is that what the opportunity is here?
You wouldn't get it until after the next election,
Okay.
so it doesn't go into place right away. It
So
goes,
what are we asked to do about this? Talk about it? See if we want to do something different?
I wanted to, because a couple of months ago, I asked about special meeting and why we didn't get paid for special meetings. I mean, like last week, we were here from 9:30 a.m. till 4 o'clock p.m. without a break, and there's numerous meetings, and I just wondered why we didn't get paid for special meetings.
Well, so let's take 5 minutes and talk about it moving forward. How do you guys feel about it? The mayor before us, let's see, one of those terms, but anyways, it used to be $20 a meeting and X amount of dollars a month. She gave it a raise a little bit and took out the dollars per meeting.
It was $20 per meeting with a cap of $80.
4 of them.
You
yeah.
couldn't do more of that.
Yeah.
And it was, for council, $350 a month. So instead of keeping track of those meetings, she said, let's just do the $350 a month and automatically give you that 80, because you always did go to special meetings. And she made it $430 for council and $530 for the mayor.
Right.
And then you didn't have to turn in time
Time
sheets.
So,
But
any discussion on it?
don't you keep track of the special meetings anyway? I mean, there would be no timesheets.
In the past, the
There were.
council turned in time sheets.
Well, I don't see any necessity for that. Do you have a record of who's at the special meeting that you could just do it?
I'm just carrying on past practice.
No, I'm
of what
just
was already
saying
going
that it
on.
shouldn't be a problem, and we shouldn't have to turn in timesheets because it's recorded.
So do you want to throw something out there, Marcia?
Well, I guess, I don't have a problem with $20. I mean, way back when, we were paying $25 a special meeting.
How about $27.50?
Sure, whatever. And it
No,
wouldn't-
I agree with you. So let's go, well, do it $30 a meeting.
Okay, I'll make a motion that
we'll encourage
effective,
somebody else to
would
run
it
for
be
these
November 10th is the day after the next election, I think? I'm not real sure.
Are you going to put a cap of 4 meetings on them?
No?
Yeah.
I'm
so you
just gonna
know,
say-
We often go to 5 meetings a week besides a council meeting.
Well, who's going to come 5 days a week unless you call it? Or 2 councilmen?
About the other commission meetings and whatever.
Oh, the other commission meetings? I'm not talking about commission meetings, I'm just talking about special council meetings.
What did we do before, Charlotte?
They were counted in the past if you attended a commission meeting.
A park and rec or whatever they are.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess I'm not going there, I'm going for special council, special council meetings, and I'd make a motion that we get paid $30 for a special council meeting.
Okay, I'll second that and then discussion. Go ahead, Dave.
I think this past year is a very unique year. There's been a lot of things that have happened that hopefully won't happen again. And the big thing is that we've had to negotiate 3 union contracts. They're not done every year.
We're not done either. We still have
doesn't-
one more to go.
This doesn't go.
Can I keep talking here?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. So I don't think next year you're going to run into the same problem as what we have, or the year after. It's 3 years out, so this year's been unique.
Okay, John, you got anything to say?
I think paying per meeting just causes a proliferation of meetings. I think if we use time efficiently, we wouldn't need so many extra meetings. So I would propose that we keep it the same.
Aaron? This isn't for us, it's for the next council.
But I'm on that council, so I have to be careful.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't have a problem with it either way. And Marcia is saying only for special council meetings. She's not including commission, am I?
Right.
Okay. So special council meetings, I'm okay with that. If commission meetings, I've been going to them for years. So I'm used to it.
Okay, so any other comments on it?
What's the limit on the meeting?
Well, it's just council, no commission,
No, the additional,
no limit,
no limit on special meetings?
but it's council meetings. So they're not gonna be that many of them.
When we were doing all these meetings for the union negotiations, those all would have counted because they were council meetings. But
Just so
on an
the
every,
public knows, those are like 6-hour meetings or something, so the compensation is just stupid regardless, whatever it is, but, you know, it's kind of a point. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 3-2. All right. We're done with that. Mike, it's your court.
Okay, about a year ago, we petitioned this county to petition the state to do a traffic study. We looked at a number of roads, and we had quite an extensive study, so Tim Bray, county engineer, is here to talk about the results of that study.
Welcome, Tim.
Thank you for having me. Mayor and council, I do have the results of the speed studies that you requested. Let's see, recall the date. It was actually March 15th, 2021. Shar, do you have the PowerPoint presentation? Oh, okay. Ooh, it is pretty small. So I provided city council members, and in your packet, there is 75 pages of information. There's a lot of it's redundant. And I do not intend to go through all of it. And I want to summarize kind of the results. You can, is there a clicker or something to advance it? Go ahead and go ahead and go to the next slide. We'll kind of get to the map. So back on the 21st of March last year, the city council wrote a letter to the county to study the road sections of CSAH 3. I'm sorry, CSAH 3 or County Road 3 from the 103 intersection basically up to through the city limits, and then 66 from 3 all the way up to, well, Moonlight Square, and then also take a look at County Road 16. So there's been questions over the years, as long as I've been the county engineer, talking about some of the speed limits in town. In particular, the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit that is posted from the bridge, the Daggett Channel Bridge, up to 16. So there's been a lot of talk over the years about studying that and trying to determine if it could be lowered to 35. I think all the past mayors that I've been associated with have had that desire. Some have not decided to initiate it because what often can happen, and it happened in this study too, and we're going to talk about it, is the study was done by MnDOT and the speed limits actually were raised. And so there is that chance of that, and past leadership of the city has decided not to roll that proverbial dice. But there's been a lot of talk about this corridor recently, about with the Loon Center coming on board and those things, to take a look again. And this council a year ago requested the study, and I'm here to talk about the results. The first thing to remember is that these studies on these county roads, I cannot set them, You cannot set them, only MnDOT can set them. So they come out with a team to actually do an investigation or a speed study, and it really involves clocking the speed of the traffic and how they're using it currently. And so a lot of the data that you see on the screen and in the 75 pages of documents I sent you are the results of that technical stuff. And so they don't include the maps. Keep, next one, next slide. Next slide. We'll get to that if we have to. So I put together these maps to kind of show you the differences. And so let me back up. So the city specifically requested things within the city. That's within your authority to do. But when MnDOT comes out and does these, they want to be efficient. So they've studied essentially County Road 3 all the way from the 11 intersection south of town, south of Cross Lake, all the way to County 1. And then they've taken County Road 66 from the 3 intersection all the way up to 1, 2. So the cities of Manhattan Beach and Cross Lake were also studied, and I've already had a meeting with Manhattan Beach, and I will be at 50 Lakes tomorrow night. So some of that information involves them. So I'll go through the results and answer any question. Just stop me along the way, okay? So I'll just start, if you draw your attention to these maps. So go back to this one, the very beginning. So this is at Manhattan Beach. All your residents use this, so it's appropriate to show it here. So the existing conditions in Manhattan Beach are 45 miles an hour from County Road 1, essentially to the City Hall right now. And go ahead, next slide. They kind of go right on top of one another. The proposed change is that from the City Hall all the way up to 1 will be raised to 55. And the reason that they did that is they take these speed studies literally with a radar gun, finding out that they're already driving that speed. It's actually 50, the calculations that they use is that 85% of the people are going around, or 55 or less, and that's how they set it. 85% of the people are going that speed and less, so they set it at that, and I'll show you some of the calculations. So the proposal is to go to 55, and I spoke with them late last week. Next slide. Next slide, we're going to get right into Cross Lake proper. So the existing conditions here are, that are shown on here is County Road 16. Well, it's basically what you see out there today. So 45 from 16 down to just north of the Daggett Bridge, and then 35 past the dam bridge, I forget how many feet, and then it transitions to 45, and then I forget the name of the road, a little bit farther down the road, it transitions back up to 55 as you head south. Next slide. The proposed changes here, based on the measurements, and people are going essentially the speed anyway, is to actually move that 45, or move the transition to 45 going north to south. Transition to 45 as soon as you get over the bridge. Right now it's about, I think you have to go another 1/8 of a mile before it actually transitions. And then it transitions to 55 at basically the joint maintenance facility. So it's moving, it's kind of moving a little bit north. People are already driving 55, and I go through there and that sign that's 45, and I look around the room, there's people smiling. You can see that you're probably going a little bit over that, and that came through in the data. So it's really kind of shrinking that, and that's the only change really proposed in Cross Lake. Go ahead and flip through those other slides. No change all the way through the 1. This is, these are just a little zoomed in is all. So really the only proposed change is kind of shrinking that area south of the dam. That's shrinking.
So Tim, in Manhattan Beach, are you going to increase it to 55 at the Trout Lake access approximately?
Yes.
Is that what it says?
Yes.
To 55 up there?
Yes. Yes.
And that's the only other change in our area?
That's the only other change in your area. The 50 Lakes, I have something to talk with them about.
Okay.
Now, going back to, let's see, this right here, this is, I'm sorry, go back one slide, I think. I'm kind of caught in the middle. So the reason behind a lot of this study was to take a look at this 45-mile-an-hour zone between Moonlight Bay and the bridge. And so I think a lot of folks, including myself, think that it could and would be appropriate to be 35. I beat MnDOT, I beat them up pretty bad on this, because I truly think that it could be 35. And I made them recheck it, a few other checks. I drove it myself, and kind of my own testament. I complain that it's a lot of entrances and a lot of things that are going on in the corridor that really could justify it being 35. But the reality is that the people are driving at 45. And the premise behind all this study work is that people drive roads to their comfort level. And so that's why they use the speed check. If you go out there, sometimes you don't even need to look at your speedometer. You know that you're going within the speed limit. That's kind of the premise. And so the driver's taking visual cues from stuff that's close to the road or far away from the road and driving the appropriate speed. And we want the roadway environment to match the sign. We're not in the business of speed traps, are we? And stuff like that. It's not good for anybody. We don't like them. It's not good for law enforcement. And I just want to give you an example of how that I've used with others. If you go out to Highway 371, wide open, 120-foot corridor, 4 lanes, I challenge you to go 45 miles an hour. You will feel that something's not right, right? But then take that 45 miles an hour on a similar, on a different street, try to do it through the city street down here. You will not feel uncomfortable, or you will not feel comfortable. So you will acquiesce kind of to the environment. That's what's happening out here. So what we would be doing by putting up that 35 miles an hour speed limit that I think could work there, and I think many others do, is that you'll be saying something different with the sign than the cues that the environment is saying. And we will create a speed trap, and we will create people that will still drive 45 even though the sign says 35. And so I want to just tell you that I beat them up pretty bad. As a matter of fact, to the point where the head person from MnDOT that's in this decision-making process came to the site and drove it. And at that point, I said, that's enough. I guess that's good for me. I made them create 2 other areas where they checked. The head guy came out. I got sideways with a former colleague of mine and all that. I can tell you that I believe I represented what the city wanted, and this is the results.
Did they
It's
do it
45.
in July? I mean, did they do it at different times or something, so?
Well, it did, because I made them go back several times. So that is in the data. Let me see if I can find the dates. It's in the 75 pages, but. Oh, shoot. Oh, here it is. So in the data, they take a look at the crashes. They try to look to see if that is a problem. That is a reason why they would lower the speeds. And thankfully, there's not a crash problem on 66. I think there's a total of 13 in 10 years or something like that, right, and lower numbers. So the one was done in June. This one was done in February. This one was done in September, June, so they've kind of a good cross-section. May, September again. So I just wanted to relay the results. It isn't what you wanted. It isn't what necessarily I thought would be appropriate. And I'm just here to provide the results.
Yeah.
I guess I want to say one more thing, is that actually, the 35 mile an hour zone, there's probably enough data there for them to raise it to 40, but I begged and pleaded not to change
Yeah.
it, so.
And because the city is the whole corridor of the road, we don't really have anything to say about it, though. It's still a county road.
Not on that jurisdiction, the county jurisdiction. Now, you have some local control of the streets that you have,
Right.
but not
But not the
state
county road.
or county roads that go through your jurisdiction. It's really clear on that. And I provided some of that literature in your packet. There's a synopsis from the state legislature, a kind of a white page or one pager for that. And there's just a ton of information. So I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Well, thanks for looking at it, Tim. It is what it is.
Yeah, I want to just reiterate that I really tried to represent what the city wanted, and it's just,
I'm not surprised at it, though, not a bit. I've worked with several of them in Blaine and in Bismarck, North Dakota. And every one of them, they go to that 85th percentile,
Yes.
whatever that speed is, bang.
yes.
And there's nothing you're going to do about it.
It's in here too, they provide some suggestions, and I guess there are some things that the city could do. But I think, and you would have to wrestle with this. I think the challenge is the parking lanes. The parking lanes are, show a very wide, open roadway, and people just hit the gas. You feel more comfortable in a wide open area. And so if somehow the road was to shrink, eliminate the parking, which you're on your own on that one, because I know it'll be very difficult to do that. Until that road section comes down and we create an environment where people are actually uncomfortable going 45, it's probably going to stay that way. There's a lot of challenges with eliminating.
But we can't do that. Right? I mean, we can't move that curb in and make that
I
road
think
narrow.
eliminating the parking lane will be something that would have to be initiated by you. You have ATVs in here now, they're a big part of your community, that they utilize that area too.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that you'd have to wrestle with to eliminate or even touch those parking lanes. So there is a way to do it, it's just very costly and probably pretty controversial.
I think we'll
too.
just leave it alone.
Any other questions or concerns?
Thank you much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tim.
I think, am I next, Mike?
Yeah, I can kick that off.
What's that?
Yeah, why don't you hang tight for just a second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the second item on there is a project Tim was extensively involved in for the last 3 years. And if you remember, we were trying to get some money through the Transportation Alternatives Solicitation Program for the last 3 years. And remember, in 2024 was our first shot at trying to get some money, essentially sidewalks in the downtown area, on the 66 corridor, and basically hooking all the way up 66 to just past Crafts and Cones, south all the way around the curve by Andy's over to hook up to the trail on the senior center, and then across the street from that, kind of in front of the chamber in that intersection, across from the core and Andy's. So if you remember back in fiscal 2024, we applied for a grant. We weren't the top selection, but when the grant funding came out, they said, hey, we could fund a smaller project. Are you guys interested? And if you remember what was happening at that time, we were just starting to get into the COVID cycle. And we both said, well, now's not a good time to do that. We should probably regroup and look at a larger project next year. We were very confident that for fiscal 2025, that we'd get a project funded at the full amount. And we missed it. We didn't get funded. We were shocked. So we went again and looked at it again for this next funding cycle, which is 2026. And back in February or January of this year, we submitted our application. In February, can you put that up there? So back on February 22nd of this year, I was able to present our case to Region 5 and say, here's why you should fund this project, and this is why it's important to us. And so we had a larger project. We had it very well defined, thanks to the county engineer, Tim Bray, specifically. He put a lot of work into helping with the graphics and really tuning this thing in tight. about a week ago, I got a notice that said, hey, you know, your project looks really good. It's likely it'll get funded, but we're not going to meet until April 7th, so don't say anything. So we don't want you to be disappointed. So April 7th comes and I get a note from them and they said, well, we didn't fund you for the amount that you requested. Would you like some more money? And the way that it works is once all the projects are funded, that they're going to fund, if there's some money left over in the pool that either smaller projects rejected or there were costs included in the other projects that were not eligible to be funded, they go back to the ones they did grant awards to and say, can you use these funds? Will this help you with your project? So I obviously said yes. So instead of $553,000, we will end up with $610,000 should we move forward with the project. Now, that's really good news. So what'll happen in the coming days is we'll get an official notification. Here's the amount of the grant award. In this case, the city is the applicant. The county, Crow Wing County, is the sponsor. Now, there's a lot of things going on in that intersection. So we've got our sidewalk project. We've got some potential funding the county is working on for the Federal Lands Access Grant Program to try to do some intersection improvements. We're not sure what those are yet. There's also some other potential funding through other agencies, some smaller ones. And then we have this thing called the Loon Center that's coming in, and we also have this project that the Water Quality Group is working on that says, hey, you know, we want to change the drainage in there so we can filter out some of the drain off so it doesn't get into the river. So we're looking at in the $200,000 to $300,000 range for a similar project like we've done all the way up that corridor. So it's really good news that we got awarded and we were selected for this project. But then be careful what you wish for, because now we've got a county road on Corps of Engineer property that's got state funding implications because it's a state aid road. It's on, like I said, it's on government property, that's not the county. We've got soil and water conservation. We've got the Board of Soil and Water Conservation. And we've got just all kinds of different people trying to do something in that intersection. So we're trying to figure out what that means. What it means right now is we wait and see, because we need to figure out what level of coordination we need to do with whom and for how much. And I think I can speak for us both if we say we're looking at a larger project than just doing the sidewalks, and that's dependent on the level of funding we can receive for other sources so we can define the project. And so that changes a little bit how we do things, because if you look at what we were able to fund, we don't have a way to get on that side of the road down to the bridge, you know, for instance. And that can dictate how wide the sidewalk is, what amenities go on it, and things like that. But I don't think we're going to have any problem finding a way to put the additional grant funds to good use. So Tim's here for all the questions on the Federal Lands Access Grant Program and some of the other funding sources and what we're actually trying to accomplish down there. But I can say with confidence that without his efforts in helping us through this, we probably wouldn't have received the money. So thank you, Tim.
Tim, when should we know about the money for access to the campground?
I'm sorry.
Money for access to the campground, that grant?
So
When
when
might
should
that-
we know the results of that?
Yes.
I spoke with the program director today, and she said sometime in April. She's the Minnesota program director. This is a federal program, the Federal Land Access Program. And so they have to send it in, their recommendations in, and get approved by at the federal level, and it's gonna sift down through the bureaucracy, right? And so we should know. And I think what Mike was saying is we're kind of waiting and seeing. We would want to see the results of the grant also, application that the city also endorsed to look at this intersection. And this is a concept of what we put in. As a matter of fact, this is a page right out of the application. And so if we are able to be funded with this one, if you recall, we had asked for around 820,000 for this. And you also notice that there's a little bit of overlap too. These are both federal money. They're both what they call Title 23 funds. And if we're successful here, and I am very optimistic about it, that the first step is to combine them into one large project. Federal projects are difficult to sometimes jump through the hoops for them. We're working on a Corps of Engineer property, or we will be. There is historic and cultural stuff going on there, and that sometimes takes a little bit of time. And so if we are awarded this, the first step is to combine them and work with the federal government who awarded the funds to do so, to make it into one project. And then also try to incorporate some of the water quality stuff that the water quality group in this community is looking to do also. So there's a lot of, and then the hard work begins. And so it isn't just rush into design. There's a lot to it. When I was talking about both of these projects, I committed that there would be a community involvement process, and there really has to be. There should be anyway, but with the federal money, you really have to go through that. There's a lot of decisions to go through. There's impacts to businesses. There's a lot of things that we'll go through. So who we hire to lead us through this process will do just that. My staff, although they're very talented and we could deliver this project, we just are full. And so we will be looking to combine them and hire it out to have a third party, so to speak, to bring us through the process.
So Tim, I got a comment on that. I have been approached quite a bit by residents in town who are opposed to the roundabout. That's not news to any of us. And they say that we don't have a chance, or we don't have a say, so how do you answer that to them?
Just what I mentioned, there'll be some public
Meetings?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is a concept, and I mean, roundabouts actually, some of them aren't even round. They're oval, and there's a lot of different things to consider. We don't know, I know that the Corps of Engineer definitely signed on and is an endorsement of this, of a intersection improvement like this. But if they're willing to allow the use of more of their property, it could take a different shape, different size, and we need to work through that. And I know that the Corps of Engineer had some improvements of their own, particularly in this area with a dump station and how they kind of get around to their check-in station, stuff like that, to make some improvements. So
I get people that ask me these questions, and I hate to tell people to forget it. You don't have anything to say about it. I like to encourage them that you do have something, and get in here and say it. I'm just not totally convinced that that's the reality. Once it's gone down the road and design's been done, is it a kind of a done deal?
Well, the design is not done, and there's a lot of things to consider with it. I guess you could end up at a point where you say, thanks, but no thanks. But that's why we came before you, each time that we applied for this grant and then the other.
And you've gotten encouragement when you've come from us, but now it gets out into the bigger world out there, and I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know if half the people are for and half again, I don't know, but.
I envision that there'll be some public meetings about that.
Yeah.
And what some of the options are out there. And I think that's where they and whoever's listening could come and provide their input. Their roundabouts, if that's the ultimate configuration, you either love, there's extremes on both sides.
Right.
For sure. So.
Will the hearings take place in Cross Lake on this?
I would expect that they are.
Okay.
This affects your residents. Absolutely. And so we'll try to figure out what the process is. It will be hired out. It will be likely issue an RFP and take have them put together a proposal. There'll be somebody, you know, the county and the city together to kind of helps do that selection process and that kind of stuff.
That construction is basically scheduled for 26 is what you're tentatively looking at?
Well, as if I've stated about the, this one, so the one that we did get the money, this has technically been awarded federal funds in 2026. That means that's when the federal government will pay us back. That's the first time they'll pay us back. But that doesn't mean that we can't work to move it up. I know there's a strong desire in this community to get it in the ground as soon as possible. There's, you know, we had a lot of discussions this last year about those blinking lights and not being able to wait, you know, until this grant is awarded, things like that. I heard loud and clear that we want it sooner than later.
And what is the soonest? Would you even speculate when the soonest could be?
Well, we're probably constrained by the things we just talked about. The public input, we do not want to short circuit that.
Yeah.
It has to be a community-supported project. What we've been working with so far is concepts, and there's a lot to be determined. So that'll probably be the longest thing. Then you get into design, and then, you know, we'll have to choose a year of construction. And, you know, it's probably
But
gonna be.
technically, you could do the north half of that sidewalk project sooner.
Maybe.
It's not gonna impact the intersection. So, I mean.
Maybe, it might be phased. I mean,
Yeah.
there's, Cross Lake's gonna, this summer, you're gonna.
It's gonna be tore up.
Yeah, you're gonna witness, you know,
And
the
we're
impacts
lucky-
of construction.
Then we're looking at the bridges, and then we're looking at the roundabout, and
The bridges, I'm not, well, we're looking at making sure that the one across Daggett Brook, or the Daggett Channel,
Yeah.
we're looking at a redeck of that because it's, the concrete's failing, but,
yeah.
so there's a lot to be determined. The best thing we can do right now is just wait to see
Yeah.
with this, maybe some,
Thank you.
okay.
So will the county be in charge of this project then?
I think it kind of depends, well, I would say yes. It kind
Yes.
of, I think this will solidify it right here.
Okay.
If we're funded with this, and I want to tell you, I'm very confident about this.
Okay. What about the water quality project?
I think, well, we'll have to figure out if the intersection is included in this, because as I understand it, a lot of the water quality revolves around this intersection. In an ideal situation, it would all be one. So the single designer makes it all work. You can't have the right arm not knowing what the left arm's doing or trying to make that coordination. So I think we're kind of in a holding pattern to find out what's going on with that. Believe me, we're talking at the office. We would likely be the ones, we would be authoring the RFP with your help and input. And we can get that ready, even for the one that's already definitely funded. So a lot of work to do. Stay tuned. So,
I wish you luck.
Thanks for coming up.
yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Unless you want to open it up to the public.
No, we'll have plenty of time.
Okay.
Pat's gonna probably.
Okay. Okay, the third item under my section is the construction cost share agreement with Crow Wing County for the seal coat projects we're planning to do this summer. Now, as you page through this is an agreement that what the county does is they go out and they bid this out, and then what we try to do is get economies of scale on their bidding and do it at the same time. So we need to have this in place with the county to make this part of our road projects. So my recommendation is that we approve this.
Mike, didn't we just approve $50,000? Or did we talk about it in the Public Works group? Was that Public Works we talked about it?
We talked about that in Public Works, and that's for crack sealing.
Okay, it's a separate from this.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Can I just
Sure.
add something to that? So this year, we all know that petroleum products are very expensive. As we pump gas, it's $4 a gallon. This is a petroleum product, and the prices are way up there. And Our bid will be opened on the 20th, which includes your portion. It's a big project throughout the county. Some of our neighboring counties and other cities have gotten so high prices that they rejected the bid. And so I just want to make you aware that if we get high bids, we will come back to you, much higher than that. I think the new estimate is like $92,734, I think. And if the bids come back much higher than you anticipate, you're going to probably approve it tonight. We will come back to you if it's up and give you another choice if they're above that, above what you approved. We anticipate that they very well may be. And so by signing this, that doesn't mean that we're not going to come back to you and say, are you sure you want to do it? We might still move forward with our bid, and you'll have the option to back out if you want, if it's too high.
So we're just approving the 92,723?
Yes, and if the bids come in below that, what you approved tonight, we'll accept the bid and move forward. But if it's north of that, we'll definitely come back to all the communities. We have many other communities joining, and we're going to treat them all the same.
I'll make a motion to approve the construction cost share agreement with the county and with the amount of $92,723.30.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, all in favor.
Okay, thank you. Item 4 is a memo from me. At our last council meeting, regular meeting in March, I was directed to come back to how we're going to pay for the rest of the land and what's my recommendation where those funds are going to come from. If you remember at the March meeting, we decided not to purchase the skid steer and not to purchase the blower attachment for it. The total of those two was $112,000. We only were authorized to move $110,000, which we did. Now, from an accounting perspective, remember we budgeted the land purchase in the utility fund, but the money is sitting in the general fund. We had budgeted the money in the general fund for the skid steer and the blower attachment, so we reduced the budget for that amount and reflect that as a transfer of cash over to the sewer fund so we can pay for the land. There's $2,000 left in that budget, so my recommendation is we transfer that over there too. And then those would come out of the assigned fund balances of that reconciliation that we do each month. And then for the balance of $63,000, we would take that from the unassigned general fund balance.
When I made that motion, I guess I was thinking that the snow blower was $30,000. That's the reason for the $2,000 balance. But I think we had talked to Ted, and Ted said we had discussed the 1 ton, that the 1 ton truck, that he wasn't going to purchase that. So why don't we take that $63,000 out from the 1 ton truck?
Well, that was different from the conversation I had with him and his staff. They're recommending that we replace it because it needs to be, we either do significant repairs to it or we start replacing it.
I recall that
Well,
conversation.
I recall the conversation with Ted, and he said, I think David asked him about the 1 ton, and he said they didn't have to get it.
Seth and Joe are both here. They drive that truck. They could tell you more about it if they want to come up and talk about it.
Mayor and council, yeah, that truck is coming up on 25 years old. We run a lot of salt in that truck. Pins and bearings, that type of stuff due to the salt and the age of the truck. It's getting to the point where we might want to start looking at replacing that truck.
How many 1-ton trucks do you have?
Just that one.
That's the only 1 ton.
Yes, sir.
How many plow trucks do you have?
Well, that would be.
Pickup truck, I mean, not the big trucks, but the,
Two. Yeah.
2 including that?
Yes, sir. Yep. So we have a pickup with a plow and then the 1 ton with the plow.
Oh, you don't have 2 pickups with plows, huh?
No.
So the pickup sets up at the community center then?
No, that's a committee, that's,
That would
That's a
be,
different one.
unit.
yep, that would be Parks and Rec.
okay.
Yep.
That changes it a little.
Just considering its age, it's,
Well, I
say it's
know.
coming up on 25 years old.
Right.
I didn't realize.
It'd make it another year. Yeah,
Potentially,
I
but,
mean,
you know,
everything could make it another year usually.
Yeah,
But,
stuff can start kind of nickel and diming you too a little bit.
right,
So ultimately, that's your guys' decision.
okay.
How much does it cost to get it another year? We don't know.
Right.
Well, I think it's budgeted for 80 grand for this year to replace it, huh?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I thought that we budgeted 90 for it.
80.
80? Thank you.
The other hurdle might be is actually finding one to replace it with.
Yeah,
They're having a shortage of trucks, fleet trucks like that. So,
they're all over the board.
And even if you decide to get one, you've got to wait till you get delivery of it.
correct.
I personally think we ought to go ahead and work on replacing it and get one whenever we can get it.
Well, I think we should wait for the Public Works Director to be hired before we start looking for a truck.
Yeah, we could leave this set for a month or something, but at some point in time, you gotta get one ordered so you get it by Christmas.
In the meantime, can we ask what the lead time is? Do we know where we have an outlet that we buy it through some?
We
Yeah,
do.
we can certainly
Dealer?
look into that, yeah, and come
Yeah, I
back
think
with
that's.
some kind of a
I
time
mean,
frame.
We don't want to wait too long because then
Right,
it's,
why don't you look into that, see?
yeah, thank you.
So our action on this is no action, but to direct the staff to find the lead time and the cost of the replacement?
Yeah, and I'd ask to put it on the agenda next meeting.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'll make a motion that we accept this recommendation and move forward with moving the additional $2,000 and then going to unassigned general funds. If we find something between now and when the money is actually due, we can change that course at that time. But I think for now, to have that in place in case he
When
comes in
is
and
the
says
closing
close.
set on that? When did we say that we're gonna close on that property?
It could be next month, or it could be
It's-
3 months from now.
We put a,
It's contingent on him
3 months or a year? 3
up to a
months?
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
up to a year.
But if something comes available in between, we can deal with it then. Okay?
I'll
Right.
second your motion, Aaron.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item 5 is the recommendation to accept the AFSCME union contract. This was one of the many special meetings we talked about earlier in our meeting tonight. As you're aware, we were all familiar with the collective bargaining process because this was the second contract we did this year. We did Teamsters earlier, this one is AFSCME. So the negotiation team on this was the council from the city side. The new contract term is January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024. Major revisions from the previous contract is the wage scale changed. It represents a 3% adjustment between steps, meaning where are you placed within that on one job class. And then there's a 2.5% adjustment between years, so between years on the new scale. Unused vacation carryover was reduced to 120 hours. I think that's 15 days, it was 16. Then we have kind of a unique situation here where we had the Public Works Director, Ted Strand, resigned. Well, Ted held the Class B wastewater treatment facility operator, Class B license with the Type 4 biosolids. So we have a person that holds that license, but the value of that license was reflected in the supervisor's position. So what was negotiated was what is the value of that license for the operator that holds it. And that was determined through the process to be $4 an hour. That was a change. The other thing that we did is we started looking into the future and said, we want to make sure that we have a bench. We have a backup in case we need a new operator or that operator were to leave. So right now, we don't have anyone in our facility that has a Class C operator license, which is needed before you get to Class B. So we assigned what we're calling premium pay of $2 an hour, should those individuals meet the testing requirements and obtain that license. We do that for two reasons. One is to attract and retain people and to show them that they have a place to go forward. Should that position open to stay with us, we have continuity in that position. Those are the major changes for it. The union and their union rep have already signed off. So the recommendation for tonight is to go ahead and have the council sign off on that agreement too.
I thought Jessica was going to send us the agreement for us to look at before we approved it.
She did send you the red line agreement. That,
Did she?
and she went
I
through
didn't
the
get it.
changes that were negotiated.
The final agreement. She was going to send us the agreement before we approved it, so we could review it before we approved it.
There were no changes to the last one that we went over.
Well, I know
at
she's,
negotiation.
I know
If
she
you
said
wanted
that
to
at the
send it
last
before
meeting.
you approve the final, nothing has changed. If you'd rather do that, that's fine too.
I got a question on the dollars here, Mike. We went $4 for the current B license holder.
That's correct.
And then we're gonna go $2 for the C upgrade when they get them.
That's correct.
And we potentially got two people that could do that.
We could have two that could take it, and that is their intent.
And probably maybe a year later, then they could go for their B, and then they get a 4 increase on top of that.
That's possible,
I
yes.
mean, that's the way it's structured right now.
Yep, and that's what we negotiated. The
They don't
negotiating
get,
team
they don't get
negotiated.
4 on top of that. They get $4.
Two more.
They get 2
No,
more.
you either get 2 or you get 4.
Yeah.
But you
So
have to have the C.
I noticed in the list of bills, there was sewer
Total.
expense in there for training. I thought it was for training, not hotel, whatever, for sewer. Did you guys go to class?
We have one coming up, actually starts tomorrow.
Oh, is that for the Class C?
That's for the take 4,000.
So when these go from there to there.
Instead of getting the 2, they get the 4.
Yeah, we keep forgetting about that biosolids, don't we?
It's not in addition.
The 2 first for a year.
Yeah, yeah.
They get a $2 premium pay and then they go,
Okay.
it's $2 premium pay, then the premium goes to 4.
But to get the second $2,
Don't
they have
get
to have the
6.
biosolid and the.
Yes, they have to do the Class B. And you get training through the classes the MPCA approved.
So,
You,
yeah.
What you're asking for, Marcia, if I understand, is you want a copy of what the agreement actually is.
Yeah.
would you get
Before
that
she
for-
left, she said she was going to send us the agreement to review. But, and another note too, the wage scale revisions, all the ASME employees got 2 steps. So that was 3% a step. So it was like 8.5%.
I only addressed the
For-
scale. What you're talking is where we place staff on the scale to market.
They all got 2 steps, and then
Not
they-
all of them, all but one. And we talked about that at negotiations.
But we should, if we're gonna agree to the final contract, we should see it instead of just a memo or whatever this is, you know? There were some other additional things
You
in
know,
it.
we did
so-
the same thing with the Teamsters on this, and that wasn't an issue, so I'm a little surprised that we're at this point, but if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
Well, is that a contract that we're agreeing to, or is that just a?
Those are
memo?
the major changes.
right.
Right. But we're agreeing to a 3-year contract with them. Shouldn't we see the whole thing?
You've seen the whole thing,
Yeah,
and
we
you've
are-
negotiated the whole
In
thing.
theory, we already agreed
but you should
when
see
we
it in
met
final
with you.
print.
But we already agreed to it.
We
in that
agreed to
meeting.
it, but we should see it in
This
final
is-
print.
Right.
Well, that's fine. That's
We're
what
agreeing to a 3-year contract on it.
But we- you know,
So what's your decision? Do you want to table this until you see it and start over?
everything is retroactive to January 1st.
That's
So we're not
correct.
holding anybody up on anything. So I would like to I'd like to make a motion to table it until we see the final contract. That's a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed?
3-2. Motion carries.
Then your next one will follow in line with that.
Well, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that would fall in line with it, so let's just take that off the table too. But that's not what we agreed to in negotiations, for the record. Okay, let's go on to number 7 then. And this is a notice to approve a public notice of cemetery cleanup.
So this, in a nutshell, is hiring somebody with a budget of $15,000 to kind of work on the cemetery. Is that true?
That is not true. This is a notice that items should be moved from the cemetery no later than May 6th.
Oh, okay.
Items that
All
are
right.
faded and torn that are not removed will be disposed of. So it's a notice, we give everybody a notice of what our cleanup day is. So if they have things out there, they can take care of them.
Okay.
I move that we accept the notice that you proposed for the cleaning of the Pinewood Cemetery during the week of May 9.
I will second it.
All right, any other question, discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 8. On March 25th, which was a Friday, we had a special council meeting to set the salary range for the Public Works Director and move forward from that. That action was tabled. It was revisited at another special meeting on April 1st, which was also a Friday. And we had a special meeting to set the salary range for the Public Works Director. At that point, the direction was, because we're in a negotiation year and that's a position within the MNPIA contract, that we should really be talking with the union to say, are there any issues with the salary range? Are we in the ballpark? Are we too high? Are we too low? Or what are your comments? That communication occurred on Monday, April 4th, through our labor attorney corresponding with MNP to say just those things. At 5:31 p.m. on April 8th, which was also a Friday, the union said no issues. So back on April 1st, when we decided what the salary range was, we said, well, let's give 4 weeks, I think April 28th or whatever it was, to publish that. Well, because we've essentially lost 2.5 to 3 weeks, I think a new deadline should be set for May 20th to give adequate time to post the notice. Now, questions on where the notice are going to be posted. When we started this, there wasn't a real big rush to get this process going. You know, we have time, but now it seems like there's more urgency to it. So our proposal is to publish this in the Northland Press, the Pine Lakes Echo Journal, the Rainer Dispatch, the American Water Works Association, and the Minnesota section on their website, Minnesota Wastewater Operators Association website, Minnesota Rural Water, along with the League of Minnesota Cities. Now, the ones that are electronic, which are essentially the bottom 4, can be accomplished tomorrow. And the reason we waited to do that is because our direction was publish it with the wage range in there, so qualified people will apply. So that's our intent. So what I need from the council is a consensus to extend that date to May 20th.
I have got a question about the union, trying to get a hold of the union, Mike. You tried to get a hold of them on, what'd you say, April 1st, we set the salary range?
That's correct.
And that was a Friday?
That's correct.
And it took a week it took till April 8th till you heard back from them?
That's correct.
And is that normal?
Yeah,
A week delay when we're trying to
Some-
replace somebody? It just seems like that should be a phone call. First of all, I question why they have to approve what we're offering. That's part of my
again,
questioning.
it's a negotiation, and we're under a status quo order, and we followed the same process that we did with the planning and zoning director. The council determines what the salary ultimately is for that individual, but it's a negotiation between the bargaining unit and the employer to determine what that range is. So we're trying to play nice in the sandbox.
Yeah, and we lost 2 weeks doing it.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the unfortunate
You
thing.
can look at yourself for losing the first week, Mr. Mayor. We had an opportunity to set that on March 25th, and it was tabled.
Why? Did I do it?
I recall that wanted to talk to the labor attorney and set the range. I remember that at the meeting.
And we could have set the range and done the same thing.
And we could have set it at, if we would have noticed it for the special meeting on that Monday. But when we had the 75,000 to 95,000 range, that was the green light to start advertising, I would assume.
So my question to you is, today is April 11th. Do you want to extend it to May 20th or not? That's the question.
I'll make a motion, we extend the application period to May 20th, 2022, closing at 3 PM on that date, and advertise in these 7 locations.
Second?
So we're extending it, it's a 3-week process then. We're going from the 11th to the 2nd? Right? I'm trying to catch up on the reading here.
No, May 20th, because we're
May
past.
20th, is that
May-
what you're saying?
That's
I thought it was
correct.
May 2nd, okay.
No, because we're beyond the publication date for this week in our
Okay.
2 appointed papers.
May 20th it is.
Yep.
Any other comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries, all in favor.
And I will get you the final version of that contract, and I'll also be asking for either the mayor or 2 council members to call a special meeting to approve it as soon as you have it, all right? So
Okay.
just heads up.
All right, Eric.
Good
Chief
evening.
Lee.
If you don't mind if I just switch this up real quick, if it's going to be a longer conversation regarding the body and the squad cameras and rather than Cody. So, looking at the second item, I'd like to remove Cody Haynes from probationary status to full-time, permanent full-time status. Cody's done a great job, lives here in town. He's shown me his allegiance to the city, so.
I've heard good things about him.
I'll make a motion to remove Officer Cody Haynes from probation.
I second it.
Okay, any other question, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just a side note of that, this last week I attended the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Executive Training Institute. One of the major things that was discussed and kind of the headline discussion was retention and recruitment of officers. The state right now is looking at legislation that will allow up to half, which I think would be, the half would be $2,500 for reimbursement for a signing bonus for police officers. So these cities that are struggling right now to get police officers, what's happened is the pendulum from defund the police has swung the other way to fund the police. So now they're trying to get people to come back or people to leave from where they're working to come work for them, upwards of $5,000 of a signing bonus. So we have, and I'm very proud of the group of officers, my team, that we've put together. We have a succession plan that could very well work with this city in the next couple of years, when I choose to pull the pin. I think the council and staff has to work on that to make sure that we retain these officers. We've got great equipment. We've got a beautiful new facility, but we are struggling against officers that are making more than your chief is making in other cities or in the county. And so that's something that your body is going to have to take a look at in the future. And that, like I said, that was the main gist of the Executive Training Institute this last week. Just a side note, just to make you aware of that. It's something that we're going to have to keep in the back of our minds, but we could lose someone tomorrow. We've had 4 turnovers in the last 5 years. Chief Hartman, Sergeant Swanson, and 2 officers. And granted 2 to retirement or resignation, but the other 2 officers we trained and we lost them to higher paying jobs. So just a side note of that, just so you're aware. My second item, going back to the squad cars, we talked about this in February, the squad car cameras and body cameras. Motorola Solutions has said that they would give us a 30% trade-in value, $3,400 on that. It was probably more like an $8,000 purchase for the cameras, but they're willing to give us $3,400. We also have a credit with them for other items that we had that they're giving us a credit on some stuff, like old cameras that we had, we gave to another city that they could, supply. Those were our initial cameras. So the overall cost of the program is $69,540. Now understand, of that cost, $40,000 to $45,000 we are going to pay over the next 5 years, whether we buy these cameras or not. That's maintenance, warranty, and cloud. So that's $8,000 to $9,000 a year right now. So we're getting 12 body cameras. They'll replace the body cameras, 6 of the body cameras in 2.5 years. So we're getting 12 body cameras and 6 squad cameras for that cost.
12 body cameras.
12 body cameras and 6 squad cameras.
And why do we need 12? Do each guy need 2?
They will only warranty these body cameras for 3 years. And then you're
Okay,
kind of
so you
off
get
on your own.
6
So
years.
you still have the same costs regarding maintenance and cloud coverage.
But you get 6 year 1 and 6 between around year 3?
2.5 to 5.
2.5 to
Yep.
3. So you're actually getting 6 to replace what you've got. 2.5 years, you get 6 more to replace what you've got.
Right. So when we initially budgeted $33,000 for these cameras, if my numbers are correct in my head, it'll cost us about $4,000 extra with the trade-in, early trade-in on these over that time period. So the other problem that we have right now, one of our cameras is down, and I can't just go, well, I'm off this weekend, take my camera from my squad. They don't interchange like that. So I'm working with Motorola Solutions right now, but we have a 6 to 8 week delivery time on these cameras, and then beyond that, it's another 10 to 12 weeks before I can actually get them going.
So is that one of the cameras that you purchased last year that's down now?
This is, no, that's a squad camera.
Okay. These ones you've
That's a
had for
squad
while.
camera that's not under warranty anymore. So we're working on that. They're working with me on trying to get me something to get us through. But like everything else, you can't get this stuff. It's not readily available. So basically what I'm thinking is they're doing the same thing that I did with the old body cameras. They're gonna find one that they can get me through
Loan or rent, or, I hope?
Probably a loaner.
Okay, good.
So you see you've had these, looks like since 2014.
The squad cameras
Squad
we've had
cameras,
since
yeah.
2014.
So you just been taking them out of the car and putting them in the new ones?
Yep.
All right.
But the body cameras they just got last year.
Yeah.
Body cameras we just got last year.
Yeah.
So within a year and a half, they'll be out of warranty.
So Eric, it's 13,908 per year for 5 years is what we're agreeing to here?
That will be adjusted whether we, with the credit that we have with them right now, if that just comes off this year's or if that's over the next. But yes, it looks like it's 13,000 a year.
And that's body camera, squad camera, all the cloud, or all the storage?
All the cloud storage, maintenance, and warranty.
Warranty.
Now, these, right now, if we don't have a camera in our squad, if we stop someone on a DWI arrest, the county attorney's office will not even prosecute if we don't have video. And that's where we've come to. So that's how important this evidence is, and that's really technically minor compared to a lot of the other stuff we
Yeah.
come across, domestics, fights, that type of thing.
So it actually isn't 69, it's 66,138.
Well, and then
What I'm
you
reading.
subtract the other 2,970.
Oh, so, or less?
Mhm.
Okay.
You need them.
Well, I think for the good of the city, we need to give the police department the things they need. So that's my thought.
This is not a wish list.
So the
No.
first year, it's 17,310, right?
It's a little convoluted to see what that is, but I think it's 13,000, something from what I'm seeing with
It
the,
says, it says due now, 3,402, and the year one invoice is 13,908.
3402 though, Marcia, isn't it?
Oh, is that the discount? It says due now.
that's a
I don't
discount.
know.
So year one invoice would be 13,908.
So where's the discount coming? If that's a discount,
I
sure.
think what we had in the last contract was 14,900 was the annual, or I mean, the annual payment. 14,500 or 14,900, something like that.
Around 14.5.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we approve your recommendation to go with this contract.
Second.
All right, any other question, comment on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. TJ?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Start with item A here, used playground equipment. Late last year, I met with staff representatives from the City of 50 Lakes. They showed great interest in our equipment that we will be replacing. So I told them I would talk to you. There are two avenues. We could put these items up for bid, or we could donate these to a nearby community and go down that route. I would recommend we, if you approve this, that we have them sign a purchase agreement for sale of used equipment, and that is attached. Essentially, it releases us of any liability, and it states that they are in charge of removal and transportation of the equipment.
Where did we get the equipment from 20-some years ago? Was it a donation?
We worked with, I believe, numerous parties. There was the Lions, there was the DNR.
Yeah.
They're 2 different years, some of them.
That equipment doesn't owe us much money, huh?
You know, for us to go out there and try to rip it out of the ground, it's gonna be kind of a wash. For my staff to go out there and spend the time to remove that, so I think it would work out for both parties.
I make a motion, we donate it to 50 Lakes.
I second that.
Good idea.
Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So I will be working with them as soon as possible. We just got word late last week that we are on the schedule for game time to start our playground project on May 16th. So that's good news. I will be working with 50
and
Lakes
that
to set something up.
Dietz is the June 2nd
The
or 12th?
The Dietz is June 12th. So this May 16th will give us some time to
Jerry, you better shine your shovel up.
hammer some things out and, you know,
Make sure they have a date that they have to have the old stuff removed.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
good point.
that's,
it wouldn't take me long to remove it. That ain't gonna be useful.
yeah. And like I said, I will be working with them as soon as possible to get something set up so we can get in there and get started with our stuff. And you know, this May 16th will give us enough time to get things dressed up pretty nice for the
Yeah,
opening
that's
too,
awesome.
landscape and everything else. So
That's awesome.
it's good news.
Good news. You got some good barricades and stuff to put around that when they start taking it down?
We will be reaching out to Public Works to see if we can borrow their barricades for that time. Yep. Yep.
Okay, good.
Moving on to item B, pavilion improvements. We discussed this during the budget meetings. This is going to coincide with our upgrades to our playground. We're looking at resurfacing our pavilion floor. This is the Lions Pavilion. It's served us for many, many years. This upgrade is going to be a nice complement to our upgrades in the playground. If you see there, the GFC estimates are split into three. I'll just explain. They split them into three, and I highlighted the top. Oh, they're not even in this one, but they separated them out. The Erlinson, they combine everything in one. So if you combine all three from GFC, it was like north of 20,000. So I'd like to go with a local company.
Are they doing the kitchen and the restrooms?
Everything.
The first one?
Yep.
The first bid?
Kitchen,
Oh.
bathrooms, entryway to the bathrooms, and then the main picnic area.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Erlinson Epoxy for $14,019. I think it'll be a good addition. It'll look really nice.
They are the ones who did the fire hall, and it was nicely
Oh,
done.
did they?
So,
Yeah, I'll second that. Good idea.
TJ, how slippery is that going to be with rain and frost and stuff on it?
it's going to be pretty good because it does have those chips. So it's not just the epoxy with the slick.
Did you question them on that at all? I mean,
I did, and they, with their commercial buildings that they put this in, they have chemicals that they use in water and so on and so forth, the fire hall, and it is pretty
but
slip
that's a
resistant.
covered heated space. It's not, the pavilion's going to be cold. I have a little concern about it being slippery or not.
I suppose if the concrete gets wet and it freezes too, it's going to be quite slippery.
I mean, is there any grit or anything they can put in, or probably not? Huh?
I can talk to them and see if there's any.
It is
fine-
gonna, you know, the sides are open, wind blows in, it'll frost, it'll freeze, it could be slippery. Enough said. Any other comments on it? All in favor? Aye.
I will say with this, there are some pieces in the kitchen that are kind of dilapidated. We're going to look at possibly making some more upgrades in that too, so stay tuned.
Okay.
Item C, South Bay Park Draft Management Plan. I'm pretty excited about this one. We've been working quite extensively over the last year and a half. And before me, my predecessor worked on this for 20-plus years. This has been an ongoing discussion topic within the Parks and Rec Commissions, meetings, and at the council level. Obviously, the first thing that we needed to address was moving Perkins Road. We got that covered, and then now we are focused on what we could put in that property. So I don't know if everyone had a chance to dive through it. It does get pretty detailed, and that was the recommendation from the Corps. They wanted to know exactly how, and where we would get this done. So picnic tables, for example, they wanted to know exactly what size they are, what materials they're made out of, how we're going to get that transported from A to B, and then how we're going to install it. So that's kind of the last portion there.
Have you done the archaeological study yet?
We haven't. I wanted approval for this first, because if we hashed a lot of things out, it would change the scope of the archaeological survey. So I wanted to get some movement on this plan, and then I'll be in coordinates with the Corps and at the same time working with Duluth Archaeology.
But if they find a lot of artifacts, it could shut the whole thing down, huh?
Potentially. It could change the plan dramatically.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're asking for approval of the management plan, but when does it start? When do the surveys start? When does this
As soon as I get,
22,000? start?
Sure. As soon as I get approval from this board, I will talk to the U.S. Corps of Engineers, see how they want to proceed. We will be talking with Duluth Archaeology. I'm sure we'll present this management plan to the Corps, see if they have any feedback. Say you approve this, the Corps approves this, then we would go into this archaeological survey as soon as possible and see what we can find.
The big question, is it in the budget?
It sure is.
Is it? Good.
Park dedication.
We
I
have-
mean, is it coming out of assigned fund balance for out of the park dedication
It-
funds, or?
In my CapEx, we have funding available for this archaeological survey. Yep.
And how much is the archaeological portion of it, the survey portion of it? I don't see that broken out.
6142.
Yeah, that's option B. What option B
The one you
includes-
recommend, right?
Correct. It's a larger scope. It provides areas that are possible future development areas that I want to know about, so
Okay, so we're not approving 22,000 here, we're just approving one of these two.
So we could.
well, you're moving forward with the assumption that over a 5-year period, we could be spending 22,000.
Yeah.
It's not a 1-year deal, this is a 5-year plan.
Like this year, most likely it wouldn't be over that archaeology, the 6,142.
Yeah, it would
Wouldn't-
primarily
wouldn't
focus on
happen.
that.
Because they still have to approve it.
Correct.
The wheel
first
is
step-
slow.
The first step after we move through this management plan would be the archaeological survey. Once we clear that, then our options are endless. We can wait until next year and we can go step by step.
Or if they find
Then we
something
change our
really
plan.
valuable, we'll all be stopping.
Correct.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
If anybody's been out on the lake, there's signs there that say there's no boat, beaching your boat along the shore by the Corps property. I don't know who, is that the Corps' decision, I believe? And I assume we're going to keep with that.
That was kind of before my time. I have seen those signs. I think one was taken down by someone. I don't know if it was vandalism, who did that, but that has been the ongoing assumption
All
that
right.
we're not docking boats, we're not landing boats on shore.
Right.
So
Is there gonna be some dockage in the plan?
that's the potential. That's not in our 5-year plan now. As you look through this plan, there is a 5-year plan and then there's potential. And what I've been talking about in the Park and Rec Commissions, it's potential because we're using this as a start. We're seeing how the park users are utilizing the property. From there, once we get feedback, we can work with the Corps on how we future develop it.
And restrooms are part of this initial.
Nope, they are in the future. The restrooms that we have in the initial plan are satellite portable toilets.
Right.
They're scheduled for 2028 through 2033.
Anyways, my concern is if you allow boats to start beaching there, that parking lot's going to be a parking lot for people that are going to hook up to boaters on the lake.
Well, I'm just looking
So,
at our
and I don't
park
know
rules
that the
here.
Corps, does the Corps have to bless this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so-
The first step is getting approval from this body, and then I will be talking to the Corps for their approval. If the council thinks that's a good idea to, I guess it's following our current practice, we could add that in our park rules before we.
And I don't think the Corps of Engineers is in favor of any docks of any kind.
But word's gonna get on the lake that there are porta potties out there on the island, so there's gonna be some boats pulling up on there. So however you deal with that, it's gonna happen.
Well, it's,
I'll make a motion that we approve this management plan and send it to,
Second.
Good motion. All right, any other comments on it?
so, good job.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That is a pretty substantial step in the right direction. I know that there's been a lot of people involved in this planning. Like I said, countless members of the Park Commission, countless members of the council, so thank you for that motion. Moving to item D, after interviewing 3 candidates for the park maintenance position, we had those interviews today. A top candidate was selected. All 3 candidates showed good poise, good attributes, they'd be good fits, but one especially stood out, and that would be Sean Peterson. And it is a recommendation to hire him and fill the vacant park maintenance position and be placed at step 4 of the salary schedule, and then pending successful probationary period to be bumped to step 5. And potential start date would be May 2nd.
When?
May 2nd,
May 2nd.
which would be good because we can start training right away with all these projects going on. We'd like to get the ball rolling and hit the ground running.
So is the full-time hire can hook onto a pickup and a trailer and go mow the cemetery?
Yep.
I mean, that's good. How about the part-time?
The part-time I have coming up here after this motion.
Oh, okay.
But again, this is to fill a vacant position.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And moving on, we have the seasonal groundskeeper position. I interviewed 4 candidates for this. A top candidate was selected. It is my recommendation to hire Nicholas Holmberg for the seasonal groundskeeper position for an hourly rate of $15 per hour. And I will remind the council, this groundskeeper will be in charge of mowing paved trails throughout town and the cemetery. And then once they're done wrapping up that, if they have some extra time in the week, they'll come over to the park or go over to Public Works and assist when needed.
Are they a 40-hour week person?
They sure are. Yep, Monday through Friday.
Student, or,
This is a high school student.
okay, good. I'll make a motion, you go ahead and do that.
I'll second.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Last item here, it is a handout that I gave to you, council, before this meeting. Ted was originally tasked to come up with some numbers regarding relocating the Public Works shop building to the park. These are the numbers that I worked with Ted to come up with. Obviously, with a 10% contingency, we just went over the 44,000. My staff would be in charge of, and hopefully with help from Public Works, to clear the site, prep the site, and lay the radiant tubing, so on and so forth. Essentially, we're only hiring out the work to be done on the roof.
I think it's a great idea. I'll make a motion that we approve the $44,119.35. It has a 10% contingency fee to relocate the Public Works garage to the park.
I'll second it. And the actual move itself, I'm trying to see here.
What's that?
The actual picking it up and moving it. I'm
Do I
trying to
not
see
have it in the
figure.
updated?
Did you forget that, TJ?
It looks like we did. That was 6,000.
6,000?
6,000.
Okay, so this
This
should
might be an
actually
outdated version then.
This motion should actually be for 50,119.
Where are we getting this from?
It's coming from the maintenance facility.
No, the money, your checking account.
That was in the budget.
You actually budgeted 75,000 for improvements to a building.
Out of the
correct?
fund balance for park dedication, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, so park dedication, okay, all right.
But are you okay with changing your motion?
Yes, I assume the 6,000 for move is an approximate.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. I thought that was added in there. I must have
And
submitted the
I'll-
wrong copy.
I'll still second that.
Okay, any other discussion? So this is all new metal roof on the building.
Mm-hmm.
It's moved. It's 4 courses of block.
ICF,
Or,
32
yeah,
inches.
ICF insulated block. And then you got, what's the 36-inch steel panels?
That's the roofing.
So what did you put on the side walls where the block is? You're gonna have to cover that with something.
Didn't include that.
Okay, so you're gonna have to figure something out for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it'll be a great shop for you guys. You got in-floor heat, you're gonna heat it with is it a gas water heater or electric?
Electric. Excuse me, no, it's gas. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it
It's
should be gas.
Yep, it's gas.
Okay.
In-floor heat?
Yep.
Yep, and I did talk to Josh We talked about the space needs, and we talked about how the configuration is with the garage. This is gonna help out tremendously, so.
It's really a cheap building in the big scheme of things.
So what do we have to add for the sidewalls?
Oh, I don't, that's,
I think that can be covered
Yeah.
under the contingency.
it's not much. It's 2 feet or something, 3 feet all the way around, but it's.
32 inches,
Oh.
yeah.
They'll come up with some money someplace. That's in the contingency. He's got $4,000 in there. Squeeze it out of there. Okay, so we got a motion for $50,000 to approve it, to go ahead, and a second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, thank you.
Good luck with that, TJ. That'll be good. That'll give you guys a nice shot. Okay, Public Works, who's gonna do this?
I'll take that. Item A is a memo from Ted Strand to get rid of some surplus equipment. One is a surplus Tiger flail mower, a Ford 3-point snow blower, and a brush hog with a finish mower. Ted has indicated he doesn't believe there's much value with those things because of their age. We could scrap it or set a minimum at $200 each and see what happens.
I'll make a motion to declare it surplus property.
I second it.
Seth or Joe, do you think either of you could get on Facebook, whatever that site is, and see if you could get anything for any of it? I mean, where else are you gonna go with it? That seems like a pretty easy way to get rid of stuff. Yeah, okay.
I think Shar.
Gov Deals also.
We usually use Gov Deals.
Okay.
It's a government
But you might
website.
as well get something for it.
But I agree with the minimum $200, like Ted says.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item B is when Ted left, the council asked him to come back and say, can you be available for a period of time and kind of like a monthly stipend, and what would that be? So Ted's proposal is in front of you. He would ask for a $250 a month retainer for up to 3 hours a month of his time. Anything over that would be $75 an hour. Time available would be from 8 to 6 p.m. And if he would need to travel or come back here, he would charge mileage for that.
So that is $3,000 a year. They have the ability to call them, whether we call them or not, right? I mean, that's what he's asking for.
That's what he's asking for.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to continue calling them after we have a public works director.
Well, I want to ask Joe and Seth, do you guys see any value in that?
What I personally do for a while. Even the new directors can have questions.
I think in the interim, because of the projects we have going on, I would think that we'd want to make that available to the new director.
Do we have to commit for 3 years, or can we do it yearly?
I think we should do it monthly.
Well, he's
he
not
said-
asking for 3
He said
years.
for the first 3 months.
He says for 3 hours
3
a
hours
month.
a
For
month.
time.
He doesn't have a time in here. We
Oh, he
could,
doesn't? I thought I read 3 years in there.
No.
we could
I thought
amend
it was
to
just 3 months, but.
6 months and then revisit it.
When are you doing the clarifiers?
I'm sorry?
You guys are not in the loop on the.
Yeah, we are at a loop.
Yeah, the-
Clarifiers.
Oh,
Oh, is that like quarter one of next year?
It'll
I
be
don't know
after
what the
summer, if
time frame
anything.
is, yeah.
Yeah, because you can't take them down in the middle of the, yeah.
Well, I would
Go to the end of the year.
I would
for now.
assume that Ted would be flexible with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say my personal opinion is Ted, he's got a lot to bring to the table regarding the wastewater
Yeah.
plant and, all these projects.
So we should leave that, we should definitely leave it open for you. So he doesn't put a time limit on it, so somebody want to make a motion on that one?
Well,
I move we accept his offer and at this time put a 6-month time frame on it with renewable for X amount after that.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I think the 6 months are a little short, Aaron. 6 months from April, May, June, July, August, September. You're not even getting into the winter when is the likely time you're going to need the clarifiers worked on.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
That's why we have John Grotman, the engineer. Right? Isn't that, I mean,
It is, but I mean, yeah, he's got a lot of knowledge with him.
How about going to the end of the year?
I think you need to go at least a year, make sure you get through next winter.
Is it going to be contractual that he's going to hold us to a year?
Well-
We can't hold him to it.
what if we get this wonderful public works director that knows everything? Then we're stuck for a year.
Still, Marcia, there's a transition here regardless of what happens there. That
Go for a year.
Do it to the end of this calendar year, and then if appropriate, we'll redo.
Okay, so somebody redo their motion.
That's what I just did.
At the end of the calendar year?
Yes.
Did you second that?
I don't know who seconded it.
Need a second.
I'll second that.
Oh,
Okay. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, all in favor.
All right. Item C is the renewal of a Public Works Joint Powers Agreement with Ideal Township for road maintenance and plowing. The way this works is we have some roads on the borderland with Ideal Township that they plow for us and we plow for them. This is a renewal of the existing agreement that expired at the end of 2012.
And this follows the same format that we've done previously?
Yes, it does.
Not new then. Okay.
Well, this runs out to 2026, correct?
Correct. I believe so.
I so move we approve the agreement.
I second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, all in favor. Okay.
Okay, there's a couple items on item D. Let's tackle the first one first. Item 1 is to approve a quote from Camco for the mastic and crack sealing in the amount of $50,000. Now, this is the product that we've used in the past, that we've had really good luck with, Camco. And the roads that they're looking at are listed on the second part of that page. So what we're asking for is to go ahead and get on the list when they hit this area so that they do us too at the same time.
Do you know how much we guessed that this would cost us this year?
I do.
We had 75,000 in there. How come, did we get a second quote? Typically, over 25,000, under 175, you get a quote, second quote.
If you have a direct negotiated contract with a qualified supplier, you can do that too. And we've had really good luck with this product, so Ted is recommending that we stick with them.
Do they follow the county too, Mike, Camco? Are they doing the county projects?
They do some of them. They actually work with some of the other cities that we do. What we're trying to avoid, you know, we had a long discussion about this at Public Works, is we believe their product is better than just the plain tar. Sticks in the holes better and doesn't come out with the plows. So that's why we like this one better. It seems to hold up better.
So how long have we been using this company?
We used them last year. We could get that information for you.
Oh, no, I just wondered, you know, if you start just
Guys, the
giving,
roads they did last year, did they hold up good?
Absolutely, yeah, they're using a mastic product.
That's my testimonial.
well, I'm just saying that it doesn't hurt to get a second quote. When you're using the same company for several years, they start assuming that you're in.
At the Public Works, I believe it was brought up that they're doing other work in the area. Is there something to that, Phil? I mean, it's just, they do a lot of this around. You don't recall? Yeah. Well, we could get another quote. It's just, the timing's coming up for doing this.
Delay it. Maybe put it on the calendar to get the bid in January, February next year. But approve this one now.
I agree with you, Dave.
So we just need the,
I think we're too much late getting this thing going.
right.
And if you look, I mean, they're doing a lot of the roads. They're, I don't know how many miles the roads are doing, but.
I'll make a motion, we approve the recommendation to go with Camco to do crack sealing this year for $50,000.
I second it.
Okay, any other discussion?
I just think in the future that when the quotes are going to be over that 25,000 or that 50,000 threshold, we need 2 quotes.
I agree with you. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries all in favor with a note on there to get multiple bids next year.
Okay, the
next
second
one.
item in that same area is, we've had some discussion about finishing putting cement in one of the public works facilities, and it's on the west end, on the other side of the wall where the oxidation ditches are, correct, guys? So what we're looking at is Ted went and got a quote. He went to Triana Masonry and got a quote. And one of the things that stands out is, what's the right size of the building? It's not 30 by 80, it's a little bit different than that. And so I would reject this quote that we have here for $12,462.50. The one that Seth or Joe went out and measured and got a new quote was just under $8,100. So when they brought that quote in, we started asking questions. I asked, well, what are you going to do with that building? What are you going to put in it? I see Ted has $60,000 in the budget for stuff, one of which was HVAC insulation and cement for that chunk of building. And so we started talking about it with Seth and Joe, and I said, well, what kind of heat are you guys going to put in there? What did you figure out for electrical? We don't want to do the floor and then figure out we wanted to put heat in the floor and forget to do that at the time that we should be doing it. Now, we've got staff that can do that, that can run the tubing for that. In fact, we're going to be doing it for TJ's building, correct? So what I'd like to do, rather than go back to Triana and say, yeah, we'll take your quote for 5 inches of cement for $8,100, let's come back and look at the whole thing instead of piecemealing it out, and get the cost of the piping. The insulation right now is the expensive part. We wanted to see what would it cost to insulate that building and make it usable as a heated workspace for equipment. Now, we're getting rid of a building that has some public works stuff in it, some fire stuff that you're getting. We've got, we're losing some storage space, but we're getting rid of some equipment too. What I would do is direct staff to go back and get a full picture with electrical. You're gonna need lights in there too, insulation, and come back with the real solid number that we can make a decision on, rather than just forget about it. We do need this space. They do need a space to put equipment in a warm facility, and I think everyone would agree that the in-floor heat would be the way to go, so they have a dry floor every morning in the winter.
What's in the other half of that building? Is that the county's?
Those are the oxidation ditches for the.
Oh, and the other storage building out in the yard, you can get into one part of it, but what's in the other part of it?
That's for the officers.
Oh, yours, okay.
That's the evidence.
Okay, well, I agree that you should come up with a good plan, what you're gonna do.
I think it should be in the budget for next year.
It's in
You
this
can get-
year's
you can-
budget.
What?
It's in this year's budget
I
already.
I didn't see anything in there for building.
I
in the
can show it
budget.
to you,
I have the budget right here.
and I do too. So, it's in the budget.
Where is
for-
it? I don't see it. I'm sorry. I guess I need you to show me where it is.
But regardless, it's a nice shop space, so let's see what to do with it.
But I agree with tabling it for now and get the information put together.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I can send you where it was in the CapEx budget, Marcia. If
What?
that- I can still send you the budget if you'd like to see where that
I have
was.
the budget. It's right here. There's nothing for buildings.
There is. You need to look closer. I can put it up on the overhead and show you from your copy if you'd like.
If you want to, sure. I don't care.
I don't think we need to. We've already approved
All
it,
right.
but I'd be happy to do so. But would you like to see it? Okay, guess not.
So we delayed that.
E is a memo from Phil Martin for city road improvements and a bid recommendation. Do you want to take that one, Phil?
Oh,
It's an easy one. We received bids for the 2022 city road improvement project. We got 2 bids. Anderson Brothers was a low bidder at $661,525.65. That's about $60,000 under our engineer's estimate. So we're recommending approval or award of that bid. They're a known contractor to the city.
With the price of tar and everything going up, do you expect some addition to that 661?
Nope.
Nope?
Nope.
Okay.
Where the weight will increase, Aaron, is if we estimated it would take 1,000 tons and it takes 1,010, it's a bid unit price, so they would get paid the extra 10. Likewise, if they come slightly under, it would be less. But the prices are fixed.
Do we have a resolution for accepting this bid? Or do,
Sorry, I didn't get that to share.
well,
fault.
typically you have a resolution. That's
So
okay.
can we approve it and do the resolution tomorrow? Can you do that or not? I don't know.
Yeah, we can approve it.
I'm not saying not approve it, I just thought maybe you had the
I
resolution.
didn't
Or she had the
give Shar,
resolution. Someone had the resolution.
A resolution, no.
Being formalities, huh?
Yeah. I make a motion, we approve the bid.
I'll second that.
Anderson Brothers for $661,525.65.
I second it.
Okay.
All right, what do you got, Marcia? You got the comment.
No, I seconded it, but that's
Oh,
okay.
okay. Any other discussion
let
on it?
go. No, I don't.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries, all in favor.
Don't run away.
Abstainer.
Okay. Do you want to take your letter for engineering services?
Sure.
Okay.
So in reviewing this, I realized that you had hired us to do the surveying and the design of this project and not the bidding or the construction services. So we'd like to
So
get hired.
thank you very much,
We'd like to do,
Mr. Martin.
we'd like to get hired to do the bidding that we've done. And then also the construction services observation and then the final assessment public hearing. And I think included in your packets, our original proposal from a year ago in which you hired us, and you'll note that it gets through the design and doesn't get into the other two elements. Oversight on my part, I guess we just kept chugging along to try and get the bid out there and didn't realize we
I
hadn't
make a
been hired.
motion, we approve it.
I'll second that. The motion for engineering services for 2022 to Bolton Ming.
Thank you. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Phil, I see two different dollar amounts. Do we need two different motions?
It should be just,
One's a year earlier.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Sewer?
Okay, so I understood from the last meeting that we had that we needed to show you all of the detail associated with the various assessment scenarios that we laid out. And so I provided that. In addition, I think the city was looking also to have information from the financial planner as to definitively say what was the basis for the 20%. And so with that information, again, we provided the information that you wanted with the assessment breakdown in detail for the 1A scenario, which is essentially taking the assessments that were presented to the public back in September of 2021. They were adjusted down at the Log Church property to only include the parking lot, pavement area, and remove the stormwater area as well. And then at the lumberyard, remove the stormwater area as well. So that's what 1A is. 2 then is the $2.1 million bond, and we assumed 20%. That's what's reflected in your assessment roll. And then the third scenario was a 1A adjusted down to $1.5 million bond. The significance of those are just taking more of the dollars out, the Bowser dollars, the ARPA dollars, and then ultimately the 1.5 million takes out the county dollars that the city would get paid back in 20 years. That information is now all provided, and additionally, you know, the input that we received from the bond council, I guess, is that you can go all the way down to the 1.5 million. You can take out the ARPA, the Bowser, and the county, and then that leaves you a net amount, and $1.5 million covers that. The comments from the bond council is they're not recommending 20%. The statute is 20%. They're recommending you go to 25%, you know, rather than the 20% of what. And their concern, again, is if you are at the bottom and there's an appeal and that appeal is successful, now you've dropped below the 20%. As I understand it, then you're back to rebalancing to get up there.
Yeah, there's a couple things there. One was, you know, the discussion was around how many votes does the council need to move forward with the project? Well, if it was a project initiated by the council to call for the project to move forward, you need a 4/5 vote. And I think Phil wrote this into his conversation in there. One of the things you run into with the bonding is once the project is approved, now you're going through with the project as an assessment project, and the requirement to certify the assessment roll is a majority of the council, which is 3 votes, not 4. One of the problems we were warned against is you have an assessment policy, you went out and you got appraisals, so you have a good policy and it's defendable. Now, if you get challenges against that policy and you changed how you do assessments where you assess to a percentage, thinking everything will go perfect with the bond issue, that's not a recommended way to do it. 2 things. One is we're not sure what the bonding costs are yet on that, and that could change what you ultimately have to assess to reach that threshold. So you want to give yourself enough room, but be fair to everybody that's not on the project, and either follow your policy or change it and then follow it. So to Phil's point, they're recommending you need to be at least at that 25%. In case you do have a challenge, 1, and number 2, if bonding costs throw you over the limit. So let's say we're in a scenario where we get everything done, we get it assessed, and everybody's still not happy because they're getting assessed. And somebody wins their assessment. There's a math error, or they just agree that the value is wrong. What we would do then is we're required to go back and reassess the rest of those were assessed for that difference, so we meet the threshold. I don't know that you want to put yourself in that position. I wouldn't recommend it. We should be following the advice of Phil and our bonding consultants and stay at that higher level. The dilemma this creates for us for not understanding or giving staff direction what that is we have an assessment hearing come up on May 9th. And we need to put an amount in the letter so people can debate. So we need to, what I would do to get a starting point is I would move together with, I think what I'm hearing you say, Phil, is go with recommendation 1A.
So, right, to finish
Okay.
what I had written here again, I think that the discussion by the council has been driving at a percentage. I'm going to make a recommendation based on what your assessment policy is. Your assessment policy says that you're going to assess within the opinion of market benefit. You had an appraiser, so I'm recommending that you stick with 1A, which puts the residential assessment at $7,000. That's between $4,000 and $10,000, which is your opinion of market benefit. And that you stay at 35 cents for the commercial, which is between 20 and 50%, which is the opinion of market benefit for non-residential. That may not be what you do, but that's what your assessment policy says.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it true that we accumulated in prior years over $200,000 in other costs related to this project?
Yeah, related to this project, we've spent probably $215,000 to date on it, deciding what to
And
do. or
that's
which
not
direction to
reflected
go.
in the
No, it is not.
the numbers, so.
And that's going back to 2018, I believe.
So, and his final point is mine and Char's. We can have this assessment hearing on May 9th, but there's a requirement that within 2 weeks of that hearing, we need to let every property owner know what their assessed amount is. And today, I don't even know what that is, because I need the council to say, this is what we want you to send out.
I understand what you're saying, and I'll make a motion, we go with 1A, your recommendation.
I'll second it.
I just want to make a couple comments, of course. First of all, I don't agree with the assessment policy. The city did, and I was one of them, that agreed to do it, not knowing what it was. Now I know what it is, and I don't agree with it. I'm going to come with another scenario. I'm going to bring this out to the public and see what kind of rise I can get out of them, see what they say. So we're going to get some feedback from them and see where it goes. I would just soon get rid of the assessment policy, so I'm going to vote no on this. And just come up with another way to do it. I got one question is, when we bond for this project, can we include the road projects in with it? Can it be a big bond?
What we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what that funding package will look like, and the assessments are part of it. Now, remember, we passed a resolution to bond up to $2.1 million of reimbursement bonds for this project. What that enables us to do is to reimburse ourselves for the estimated project costs. We also passed a resolution earlier, I think last November, to do a resolution bond for the clarifier project, correct? Of $556,000. And so the idea here was, once we know what the proposed assessments are, we can complete the financing package. And we would also put the roads in there too. So it's a lot easier and more efficient to issue one bond and then bifurcate the proceeds to each project based on the relative cost for that. So it takes about 30 to maybe 65 days or more to get bonds to finance this. In either case, for this project, we're assuming that we're going to be holding potentially some funds until the county reimburses us their cost share on it. Because remember, they'll pay us a little bit up front, maybe $80,000 or $90,000, but the rest of it's not coming until they're ready to pay us when they scheduled that project. So what that does is it means you're going to need to issue enough bonds to carry that cost and then adjust your levy and repayment proceeds at the time when they pay those. I mean, I don't think you want to carry that entire cost on their behalf. You know, we can structure the bond agreement to reflect that. But the important thing now is to figure out what are the assessments and to what levels, so we can come back with that recommendation at a later date.
Okay, but I'm just going to say again, I've never agreed with them, and I mean, I've been very clear about that, and now we're getting down. I thought we were going to wait and do this vote at the May 9th meeting when we did the hearing. Now you want to get it through tonight, and, you know, you can do that.
I don't know what to send. I have to send something out to property owners. I don't know what to send.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. You have to
Your
send it out.
vote, your vote is still, you can take the input, you can have further discussion at that meeting. You can make tweaks if you feel they're necessary.
Yeah.
I'm saying at this point, we can't even send out to the property owners.
I am just saying that I feel like I've had this assessment shoved down my throat ever since we brought it in. To my knowledge, we have assessed one individual on a property on this road when we did it. Other than that, we have not really applied the assessment policy. We did agree to do it. I'm going to speak on my own behalf, not knowing what it was. Now I'm learning what it is, and I'm against it, and I'm going to probably always be against it. So I'm just saying that. I don't want to blindside anybody. I'm going to go to the public, and I'm going to find out if they're for it, or if they think I'm crazy, or if they agree with me. So I'm just saying I'm going to do that. It's a 4/5 vote. You guys can vote, move it through. I'll vote against it.
As a citizen of Cross Lake, I can see here that I'm going to be partly responsible for about $1.9 million of this. I will not have a sewer coming to me at all. My only use of the sewer is the fact that I want to be able to go to stores in town. I think a sewer is good for Cross Lake. And I'm delighted to pay the $1.9 million. But I certainly don't mind assessing the people who are getting used to the sewer with the plan that we have, and they'll be paying $579,000 of it, with the rest of it coming to me as a taxpayer. So I think that 1A option is an ideal mix between the two sides.
And that's your story.
Well, there's a lot of people that aren't voting in the city of Cross Lake that own property here. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And if we just go right out and say we're not going to assess anybody, which is kind of odd in cities, that's what you're saying. Let me keep going.
Dave, it's
What
not what
all
I'm
of
saying.
those people that will probably never see the sewer come in front of their house are going to pay for the sewers for all these businesses along this road. That's just not right.
21st.
That's just not right.
Well, I 100% disagree with you, but we're going to disagree. That's fine. I am going to plead a case on the 21st at 6 o'clock at Moonlight Bay, and I'm going to see what kind of response I get. You're more than welcome to come. I'd love to see you there. So, to make the vote, I just wanted, I don't want to blindside anybody. I wanted to let you know where I'm at.
I do have a question. What happens if we go with this one and everybody appeals it? Who do we reassess? How do we redo it? I mean, people are going to be upset, there's no doubt, but, so you go with the 1A, and you have a half a dozen of them, take it to court, and the judge decides, yeah, this is your assessment, and they reduce it. So do you have to go back to the other property owners and reassess?
I can answer that. That is correct. You would go back to the folks that did not appeal and spread that ratably over those properties and recertify it.
So then, in turn, then they can go to court.
That's possible.
See, I
What a
think,
vicious
and
circle.
that's why the city has an assessment policy based on opinion of market benefit. You went out and you had an appraisal.
That is defendable in court, and that is a really offensive statement to me, you know.
That
Sorry, it just is.
And then that's when the judge makes the determination. But that
Yeah.
is the opportunity for anyone who wants to appeal
Yeah.
to have that look.
I
And
mean,
that's
they
when the
don't-
city's going to
But they
say,
have
we
to
had
hire an
this.
attorney, they gotta go through the process,
I
and when
don't-
it gets to that point, they might as well just pay it, you know, and that's the position we're forcing them to be in. And I disagree with it. I always have. I'm not saying anything different than I haven't said for 2.5 years. I just want you to know that. And nothing has changed in 2.5 years. And I want you to know that too, and I'm just not willing and ready to give up on it. So, just fair warning, you know, make your vote, do what you gotta do.
What do we have, a motion and a second?
Yeah.
All right. Can I call a vote?
I'd rather go with the last scenario on there, but, there's a first and second, so.
Yeah, okay, let's just call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. So that was 4/5, so it carries, right?
It's a majority.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think to clarify, we only needed a simple majority for that.
Yeah.
We only needed,
Figure out the
so now,
the numbers
we
through
can
the
set,
letters,
we
and you
can,
can
we
do
can
the-
put together the worksheets, and we can get this on track.
And
so
so
that when we have the proceedings-
you're not delaying the project now, we can keep it moving.
No,
So
we're
that's important.
you just gave us a chance to be able to get this done in
To
time.
send out the proposed assessments.
Correct.
We have not
This is
adopted the
just so
final
we can
assessments.
send out
Yes.
letters.
I'm just saying
It's
that
not done,
it's not
Dave.
the final.
It's not
Yep, we
done.
didn't
It's not
have,
the
from
final
the last
assessment
meeting,
until-
we didn't have the direction you wanted to give us, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're done with
Public forum, is there one left?
moving on to public forum. Action may or not be taken on any issue raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issue will be placed on the agenda at the next regular council meeting. Speaker is given. Come on, if anybody got anything, come on up. All right, Joe, what do you got?
Evening, Mayor. I just kind of want to bring up our union contract, if that's okay.
Yep.
I know you guys voted on it, but We have our union rep online here, and he'd like to say a couple words, if that's okay?
Sure. Who's that?
Can everybody hear me there?
I can hear you, Troy.
All right, I'm driving a car. I'm going to pull over here, but so I wasn't able to log into the first part of the meeting, but I understand the council decided to not approve the contracts. Can I confirm that and ask for the explanation as to why?
Troy, I don't believe that was what we agreed to. What we wanted to do is see the contract. We haven't seen it. We just have a memo kind of outlining the contract, and we just want to see it, is all.
So we've had the hard copy from the attorney for, I don't know, a week and a half, I suppose. Did that not make it to the council?
I don't. Did we get it?
No, it did not make it
See,
to
we
us.
didn't see any, we
We have
didn't have
not seen
anything.
it.
And we feel a little funny signing a 3-year contract that we're not looking at the contract. So that's all it's about.
Yeah.
We're still in all agreement.
We have not changed our mind. We just want to see it so we know what we're agreeing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's possible. I know it's late. You guys, I'm sure, want to skedaddle out of there, but I know that it is there available to you, and I could certainly send it to you momentarily if that would help. If you consider, I mean, there's actually minimal changes to it, and there is a red line copy, so you can clearly see any modifications to it, and it's straight from your attorney.
Troy, what we have agreed to do is to get a copy of it as early as tomorrow maybe and immediately call a special council meeting to address it. We're not going to kick this thing down the road at all. Part of the discussion is that this is all going back to January 1st anyway, so we're not going to hold anybody up on anything. You know.
Okay, I understand.
But we just want to see the contract. I don't think that's out of line.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that you hadn't, so I understand.
Just for clarification, though, it is payroll today, so they won't get any of those increases from the memorandum. Those will wait another 2 weeks before anything goes through.
Is there any way we can move that forward without doing it?
Let's just,
Yeah, we really need to see the contract. I hate to do that to you guys too, but we're signing a 3-year deal here and, you know, we got to know what we're doing. Not that we're not trusting what's going on.
Yeah, I just,
but-
you know, we all assume that we went through that during negotiations. We all agreed to it, and when you
Yeah.
agree to it, you
There
agree
was
to
a
it.
lot of notes.
Right, but we just need to see the, you know, it's.
I get it.
It's sign like when you're buying a house, you want to see the final purchase agreement, sign it. You know, I mean, it's anything that you do. It's unfortunate that we don't have it here.
Sure.
That's it, Troy,
All right, I understand.
We will get it done absolutely as fast as we can, I assure you that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you for your time.
Sorry about, you know, there was no intention here at all to do that.
Monday, you're gonna call a special meeting?
Well, I can. Can we have the things tomorrow? I mean,
You gotta have some, few days there.
no, but I mean, can we get the contract tomorrow?
yeah.
Can we get the
There's no point in
contract?
calling a special meeting and not having the contract.
So Charlotte, you know, I mean, we gotta have the contract. Troy said, Troy, can you send us the contract? Well, or Jessica should have it. I mean, where
I
is
can.
it?
I can forward it right now.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, so let's just call a special meeting. Can we have it on Thursday?
It doesn't really matter.
Well, I mean, it's
It
unfortunate.
doesn't matter now when it is. I mean, we may as well schedule it with something else that's going to happen because, I mean, payroll is
That
another 2
actually
weeks
makes
out,
sense,
so.
yeah. But before the next pay period.
It seems a little odd that we would be asked to sign a contract that we're not looking at.
Well, we did the same thing with Teamsters. One recommendation we could have is you could adjourn this meeting to a later date rather than close it at the end. And this meeting would stay open, and I think you could have a day to look at it.
We need to adjourn to a date certain, but yes.
I think just call a special meeting.
I'll do whatever you want to do. I don't care.
How much time do you need to review it? Again.
Yeah.
So
15
you could
minutes.
adjourn this meeting to
So if you
sometime
gi-
tomorrow.
If you give us the contract tomorrow, call your special meeting for Thursday, done.
Saves you some money, though, if we don't need to publish a notice for special meeting.
So if we just
Well,
not
what I
close
was
this
thinking is if you could do that, if you could have the meeting, adjourn this meeting to tomorrow sometime, you could still do payroll and keep these folks on target.
I would be more than willing to do that.
Plus you avoid the admin cost of calling a special meeting.
Can you just delay the payroll for a day?
No.
Well, what do you mean don't? You're not doing it.
You don't delay payroll.
No, but it's in their benefit.
You delay.
I'll do whatever you
payroll,
guys want to
people
do.
carry guns.
I sense they want it approved.
Yeah, I think they do
He never brought
too.
up payroll, he just said, let's get it approved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They'll still get paid.
yeah, so.
So are we gonna delay it? I'll make a motion, how do we do this?
Well, can you adjourn to it sometime tomorrow, a time and date? I mean, that, whatever you think, and if you don't have enough time to review, you can adjourn it again. But you're trusting that you're gonna have the document tonight, probably.
Troy's already sending it to us, that's what he said.
But
So-
still get it, yeah.
So let's meet at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Is he sending it to everybody?
That's what he said.
Ooh, maybe you got one.
Aaron, was that a motion to, when we're done with the meeting, to adjourn to 1 o'clock tomorrow?
Correct.
Let's have a full motion on that.
11? Sure. I don't care, that's fine. I'm just trying to, 1 o'clock, that's what I'd said, yeah.
I'll make that.
You're
second.
seconding that motion.
All in favor? Aye. 1 o'clock tomorrow, we're gonna re-adjourn this meeting.
Public forum still open.
Yeah, public forum still open. Who else? What else can we get into? All right, not seeing anybody, we're gonna close public forum. Any new business?
Well,
Oh.
that's a motion at the end of the meeting is what I clarified.
Okay.
Just so it's done now while we're talking.
Anybody else have any business, new, old, or in between? Okay, do we make a motion to adjourn the meeting now? Or it's already done? Delayed it?
Yeah, already did it.
All right, we're gonna adjourn till tomorrow. I can see why everybody in government is an attorney.